We'll talk about some of the big stories that made headlines and were brought to you, reported them at 7 o'clock. My name is Adeyemi.
And I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you for joining us on the Headline News Analysis. Good morning to you, Nicholas.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm fine.
It's another bright new morning.
A bright new morning.
How do you feel? How's your trip down here?
Well, it was cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the day as it goes by.
All right. The views to be expressed is not in any way the position of FlowFM 92.7 or the staff therein, but is expressed by our in-house analyst, Nicholas Uwerunonye.
All right, lots of interesting stories to touch on this morning. Let's pick it up again because it's a national celebration and we cannot, stop talking about it because it's something that history has been made. Winning the title for the 10th time as well. And I saw a bit of the celebration as well too.
Oh yeah,
some clips of Aziza Toshola with the fans and saying, "Hold up with the cup," and then how many times? 1, 2, and then it got to the 10th one. Well, that's something to really, really celebrate. It brought a lot of joy to many Nigerians, and of course, in the spirit of appreciation as well too. The president hosted them yesterday. And he does us some cash rewards as well too, and of course some national honor. It's really, really well deserving, don't you think so?
I believe so, and I think we need to commend the president for doing that. Because you see, if you the sporadic growth we witnessed in football, male, started from things like that, the reward system. If you recall. Was it Saudi 89? Yeah, is this a Saudi Daman miracle? Where we had that Daman miracle. They were each given the players were each given, I think, was it 70,000 naira? It was big money then. It was something almost equivalent to what you are having now, and promises and giving national honors. Then you have the 94. So things like that were the things that made football, made it a big tradition and industry in Nigeria, and I think that is the way to go if we need to promote the women football. And recall yesterday we were talking about the fact that we wish that the women, given the kind of glory that they have brought to Nigeria, we think that I believe that it should have grown bigger than what it is right now. But I think this is the missing link. The need for Nigerians to see that this is what you do when you bring honor to Nigeria, when you bring honor to your country, and this is how you are rewarded for bringing honor to Nigeria. I think it's going to help the industry grow more, especially for the women folk. I have always been a champion of equity. I've gender equity and things like that. So I believe that to a very large extent we have so much to gain from encouraging our women to play football.
And to watch it as well.
And to watch it. Yeah.
All right. 0807-777-9927 is number to call to make a comment on the news stories that we have this morning. Let's get to another news story real quick. Coming from last week, I think this was a conversation that we're supposed to pick up from last week. And it has come up in the news again. This was with former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso accusing President Bola Tinubu's administration of concentrating the bulk of Nigeria's national budget on the southern region at the expense of the north. And this was an allegation he made during the stakeholders' dialogue on the 2025 constitutional amendment in Kano. Right? He also warned that the neglect of the north in resource allocation is fueling the insecurity and poverty, which if left unchecked could affect the entire country, because apparently the north holds a larger, I would say
population, landmass.
Yeah, and then we have Babachir Lawal as well saying the same thing recently.
I'm always very, very careful when I talk about marginalization of the north, because if we look at it in terms of figures and data, and yes, indeed, they are marginalized. The poverty level there, it's out of this world. You have the case of the out of school children. Almost 80%, is it almost 90% of the out of school children is from the north. You talk of women mortality, talk of gender, the gender opportunities that you have there. It is up there in the north. Why I'm a bit I'm not always hasty in discussing the marginalization of the North is that each time conversations like this come up, it's only when you have a southern president. And, there are precedents to show that sometimes, most of these calls are not sincere, especially coming from a man like Rabiu Kwankwaso. I recall too that running up to 2015, it was one of the major plank with which, the then president was beaten, and they used it immensely. I recall that sometimes, when they make that call, they externalize it, and you have, almost all of a sudden you have even foreign medias echoing it. I recall once when I was in Abuja, there was this guy from Reuters. He said he's from, I think it's Congo. Actually from Congo. He came to cover the issue of Boko Haram. Then I was interviewed, and what he kept on harping on was how the North were marginalized, over the years and things like that. At some point I had to ask him, I said, what do you know about Nigeria? He said that he knows about the Niger Delta, how they settled them. I said, what do you know about Niger Delta? He didn't know the kind of resources they had. He didn't know of the issue of pollution and things like that. Then I asked him, I said, have you gone there to ask, they have, taking time to look at how well they encourage children to go to school, the emergency school issues that they were at that point they were abandoning and things like that. Anyway, the interview never saw the light of day. Because we corresponded, and he said that for some reason they couldn't run that interview. So, that is why sometimes when I hear people like Kwankwaso talking, I'm a bit suspicious about what the intentions really are. And of course, a man like Babachir, well, I could give him a bit of credibility because he comes from another, section, demography of the North. We are talking of the less spoken language. I don't like using this minority language. It's kind of, because I don't think there is a data that supports that they are minority. The less spoken languages in the North. When you look at them, largely their areas are the most underdeveloped. So when Babachir speaks about underdevelopment, we must not confuse it with what Kwankwaso is saying. Kwankwaso is a politician, and he's using all those things for politics. But when Babachir, of course, Babachir is a politician too. But one will want to take, that one might want to further interrogate, what Babachir is saying. I'm just speaking out of experience, and this is my opinion personally.
All right. Well, still on that. One we want to say over the years that if you look at, and of course, I recall this conversation. I asked this question last week. Coming from the military era and then down to the democratic period as well, too, that the country is currently enjoying. You see that the North has produced more leaders than every other region of the country. Now, in all of these things, it's not the first time statements like this come from, personalities from the North. And we've heard several. As a matter of fact, I think I'm seeing former President Olusegun Obasanjo, left office. It's been said that the North has been marginalized. Now, what are some of them? The fact that, you mentioned out of school children, all of these things, but some of these issues, how have the Northern Elders, Forum handled the issue of out of school children? We saw the intervention during former President Jonathan and the Almajiri schools that were being built. No light of day. Some of them will be destroyed even from the North. Now, we see child mother mortality rates. It's a bit high in the North, and all of these things. How much input have the Northern Elders put, in ensuring that these numbers, these rates are reduced?
You see, let me tell you, they are very, very culpable. In fact, I am not the only one that's been saying this. We have had prominent voices like Sheikh Husani, accusing the Northern Elders of being responsible for the marginalization in the North. Now, I'll give you a very good example. Back then in 2005, I believe so, I traveled to Kaduna, for a story on Subeb. We were trying to, map, and access the success of Subeb, especially in the North. I had I was so fortunate to interview one Muhammad Gashash, and he was, at that time, he was the patron of the Sangaya school system. That the Sangaya is your Makaranta Alo. This Arabic schools that they give off children to, and Senator, the governor at that time was McAfee. McAfee was trying to merge, the Subeb system with the Sangaya system. He was trying to see if they could midwife them in such a manner that, that school system can be integrated into UBE. universal basic education scheme. And do you know the biggest resistance came from the elites that I can't do that. So when I spoke to Greshash, there was something he told me. He said that any effort by the governor, to tamper with something that has been there for generations will consume him. I recall him saying things like that. In fact, I recall that was it was part of the story that I wrote. Then he then explained the history of Sangaya system and things like that. But ironically, the person that was speaking to me was speaking in Oxford English. Oh. So the question I asked him was then, did you go through the Sangaya system? He said that's out of the point. No, but then if you recommend the Sangaya system for other people, you must have been through the system too. I'm not sure he went through the system. So you see this two-layer hypocrisy that you see, among the leaders. So when they start talking about marginalization, you ask, are they talking about marginalization of they themselves? I mean, the political elite, and not the ordinary man on the street. Because I tend to want to see when they talk about when people like Kwankwaso and the rest of them talk about marginalization, they are talking about them being schemed out of power. That is the only thing I see. But you see, when people like Sheikh Husani talks, of course, he's talking at the issue. He's looking at the issue and he's addressing it. When Babatiro, of course, is a politician too, but of course, he's in the opposition, and he's been there with Baba, President Muhammad Buhari, when, of course, there's a bit of more credibility coming from it. But you see, when you see people like Kwankwaso, when he was governor, instead of using money to build educational system, he was busy giving people out in marriage. So how can you come around and not talk about, marginalization of the North and things and blah, blah, blah. In fact, in terms of infrastructure, do you know that in terms of the location of dams, the North has the highest number of in terms of dams that are, and these are huge agricultural, it has huge agricultural potential, The land, they've been in power, and a lot of policies and subsidies, could have been evolved over the years for farming, so as to empower. By now, what we'll be talking about, North dominating the economy. Because you see, agric it's a cyclical thing. It's sustainable, very, very sustainable. So I wonder why, with all these years in power, they couldn't develop all those sectors, that could have made them, high and above every other person. But of course, there are so many factors involved. I have only touched on a few, that I feel,
All right, still on marginalization, right? We have the ANPP, the defunct of all Nigeria's People's Party, one of the founding blocks of the APC, threatening to exit the ruling party over claims of long-standing marginalization. And in the same breath, the former Borno State Governor Ali Modu Sharif said that President Bola Tinubu has the constitutional right to choose whether to retain Vice President Kashim Shettima or select a new running mate for the 2027 presidential election. Now, relating to what I said earlier, the group that is led by Professor Vitalis Ajumbe said that the ANPP bloc has been sidelined by the APC's formation since 2013, and they are demanding political appointments and the vice presidential slot in 2027 to ensure equity among the party's legacy factions.
Wow. It will seem that it's not only the end, is that there are so many, legacy party members that are complaining, because the other day it was the CPC bloc too that were, they complained too bitterly about marginalization, and with the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari, there are talks about them pulling out of APC too, But of course, you see, calls like this are not strange, Like you have it in the opposition, ADC, you also have it in APC, Don't forget that, you see, politics is about interests, and the moment you feel that at some point your interests are not being met, there is always an option of pulling out. But having said that, but I think there's a bit of complexity in this, and I see a bit of, the Borno axis of AMPP, playing a very strategic role in this. You had Modu Sharif say certain things there. Modu Sharif, I believe, is the father of ANPP. I think he was a major financier at some point, and at the point when they formed the APC, I think it was in PDP then, So there is this, you at some point you don't even know which is which, because at some point is one they are either in PDP.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry to butcher, Nicholas.
Let's take this call.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. What is your name and where are you calling from, please?
My name is Shitta. I'm calling from Sango.
All right, Shitta from Zongo. Please go ahead with your comment.
Yes, my comment on this Kwankwaso's comment about the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You see, I don't know why the Lord, other politicians or leaders are like this. This will be the second time. They said it when Obasanjo was in the office, and this is the second time. And you've forgotten that North ruled Nigeria since inception. And under this federal government, Tinubu will be the second president. Both military and civil life, you combine everything together. Not to rule Nigeria. Even you can imagine the percentage if you want to put it some percentage. How do they come out of it? And all this insincerity of the leaders in the north, put the north where it is. And people like Phil Sonny always say the truth about north, but they don't want to listen. I serve in Kano. When it comes to infrastructure, north have more road than south. From Kano to Kaduna, it's a longer journey. It is an express. Even then, they do the Maiduguri to Kano, just like Kano to Ilorin, Maiduguri to Kano. Look at their roads. So because Tinubu is a southerner now, not all of a sudden, North has been marginalized. They have to be sincere for once, so that Nigeria will move on. They should change their mindset. When they say North is marginalized, out of 36 states, North alone have 19 governors. What is their subnational doing? And these are the things they will be saying to their followership. That is why whenever there is election, the North, they cannot vote in one place because of what their leaders are telling them. So may God help this country. Thank you. That is my comment this morning.
All right. Thank you, Shita. Well, he's raised some,
no, very, very. And in fact, it's very good that he raised some of those issues. And there is a need to perspectivize, on some of these issues. Anyone could say what should we say, and he will be right. He will be justified in feeling that way. But you see, I think it's far more deeper. It's far deeper than that. I think it goes to the foundation of Nigeria itself, especially northern Nigeria.
Let's take another call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you. What is your name and where are you calling from, please?
My name is Mr. Brown from Opoko, New Haven.
Okay, please go ahead with your comment.
Anambra State, okay?
Mr. Brown from
Mr.
Anambra
Brown.
State. Go ahead, please.
Yes. I want to talk concerning the marginalized issues that are coming from Kwankwaso.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the matter is a matter that will take us time from important thing that we should talk. If Kwankwaso is talking of marginalizing the North, what are we, the Southeasterners, going to say? Talk of marginalization. So I don't think that matter what to talk about here. So give us another better talk so we can enjoy. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Mr. Brown, all the way from
Okpoko
in Anambra State side. Let's move on. Look, your comment.
Yeah. You see, I just wanted to put a background to some of this thing. You see, I think that if you recall, there was a time Mohammed Sanusi, by the emir of Kano, the former CBN governor, did say that the marginalization of the North was a deliberate policy by the colonial masters. That, in fact, he even said there are documents, that show that the colonial masters told, their officers that they must not educate the North. Yes, he did say that openly, and I think there is a truth to what he has said because, while in school, while I was doing, I think the history of English language in my university days, one of those things, was, the conquest of the North by the imperialists. One of the conditions upon which the Northern Emir surrendered was that their cultural values will not be eroded. It was a condition that they acceded to. So to a very large extent, the cultural base and everything is everything to the North. That is the mainstay of their political power. So probably they feel that bringing in education might whittle down that power. So that is why you see some of this push back, push forth, and this going back and forth about this argument about marginalization. This could be part of the factors that we should consider.
All right, let's quickly discuss this. The federal government is making moves to reprivatize the power distribution companies. About 11 distribution companies. If a proposed amendment to the 2023 Electricity Act bill becomes law, currently this bill is before the National Assembly mandating fresh capital injection within 12 months, by core investors or risk share dilution, receivership, or outright takeover. Now, it aims to reform the sector by addressing regulatory gaps, attracting local investment, phasing out subsidies, and enforcing stricter oversight by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. Recall last week we did talk about the subsidies on power.
Yeah. Let me tell you the way I feel about that proposal.
Let me just ask you this, because I think Nigerians are interested in this. Do you think this private companies handling the situation right now are failed, or in terms of handling in terms of the privatization and what is expected from having the private sector get involved?
You see, look, it's a very difficult question to answer, because you see, a privateer, a private company goes into a business to make money. You understand? If he's not making money, what is he doing there? That is the question. How viable is, investing in power sector? Elsewhere, it's big. It's just like investing in oil,
Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. What is your name and where are you calling from, please?
Okay, this is Michael from Ilorin.
All right, Michael, please go ahead with your comment.
Okay, on Kwankwaso issue, just like somebody said, I think the issue here is not about development. It's about sharing political office. You go to the north, just like one of the callers said, they have more infrastructure running as we speak than the south. Go to Nasarawa State. Dele Alake has turned that state to something else in solid mineral. And in the next few years, we'll be shocked the kind of revenue that will be. Even the Nasarawa State governor attested to it. Dele Alake is from, I think, Ekiti State also. Why didn't he locate it in his state? And a whole lot of things. I think the game plan here, the truth of the matter is, there has been this thing with the government that, look, we need to demystify these people. You can see the aviation school, they want to break it to all zones. They are even talking about the Nigerian military depot. They don't want it located only in Zion. It should be spread because we are having more release. In short, they should do NDA too. Nothing will happen. All of us are part of this country. So nobody should be given preferential treatment. These are areas that are bordering the north, not all about development. Thank you.
All right. Thank you a lot, Michael from Ilorin.
Just briefly, I think we should be very careful too, so that we can divorce what a politician says because of his personal interest and what people are really feeling on the street. Because, I hear a lot of talks about infrastructure development. The cost of building roads in the north is way cheaper than in the south, and it's because of the terrain. You have to look at some of those things and put it in perspective.
All right. Sorry to botch you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is...
Yes, go
I'm
ahead.
calling from Ilorin.
Please, could you register your name again with us, please? What's your name?
My name is Philip.
Philip from Ilorin. All right, please go ahead with your comment.
Yeah, please. You see, the issue of marginalization, you get me, is, like they said earlier on, an embarrassment to the nation. The North is not marginalized at all. And one thing is that I live in the North. I grew up in the North. I served in the North. And if you compare the North with the South, up to today, the North is far ahead of Nigeria in many aspects of life. I love what Nick is saying, Nick will know who he's talking, but I'll tell you one thing, is that North has its political agenda. The military is 70% North. The officers cadre. And economically, the North is way ahead in many things. Nigeria should understand, these people who are talking, Kwankwaso and the rest of them, they are just people looking for how they can impoverish their own people. I'll tell you something clearly, that the northern leaders, particularly, they have a habit of saying, yeah, you remain there. They prefer the people to come in the morning and beg for pap, beg for anything. And the money, the share they give, is nothing to talk about. With the north, as far as I'm concerned, it's not marginalized. We go to the southeast, like somebody said, you see what is called marginalization. Go to some parts of Lagos, I'm sure what it's called, marginalization. People are neglected. Even Kuala here, come and see the roads around my house here. See things. Political offices, they not have most of it. So what are they talking about marginalization? Please, if you leave these guys crying up crocodile tears, let's face what Nigeria needs. Nigeria needs sincerity. The North got independence before Nigeria. It's September 30th. They were given, Sokoto was handed over the mandate. What are we talking about? So please, I will pray that we review it and talk more of how Nigeria can move forward. The army, police, what do we talk about? Nationalization. Please, I just rest my case because to me it's irritating.
All right, thank you, Philip. Thank you, Philip. Maybe a lot of Nigerians are, of course, some, the views are,
it's going to be a controversial one.
Because again, a lot of people are saying it from the angle of, political, placement.
Exactly.
And on the other end, we're looking at developments in northern Nigeria.
Human capital
development. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
In northern Nigeria. So from these angles is where a lot of Nigerians are. But again, what we want to ask, should statement like that be coming, from northern leaders while we preach one country, one people, unity and progress? Yeah, because again, it will definitely be somebody, a respondent said, this is what they feed to some people to make them believe that the North is marginalized.
Do you know that in a different context, let Kwankwaso speak about oneness of Nigeria and you'll be amazed. This is how chameleon-like some of these politicians can be. Of course, like this man rightly said, the last caller rightly said, it's about politics. And Michael echoed that fact too,
All right. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. What is your name and where are you calling from, please?
I'm Danielle from Lafiaji.
Danielle from Lafiaji.
Yeah.
All right, please
Good
go
morning
ahead.
to you.
Good morning. Go ahead with your comments.
I want to delve on the issue you are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If you said North has not been marginalized, let me ask you one question. All the road they have been doing in the north, which one of them is up to 1 trillion naira?
Okay.
The one road only in the south, Lagos to Calabar Coastal Highway, is 15 trillion naira. 15 trillion naira. No road in the north. What even 5 trillion naira? All the road in the north that they are doing. What are you not talking about? The Minister of Finance is from the south. The chairman of Federal Inland Revenue Services is from the south. Federal governor is from the south. What are you talking about? They have been marginalized. All the positions they are giving the north are minor positions. All the major ones, even Minister of Education, where is he come from? From south. IG of Police from south. DG of Customs from south. Southwest. So what are you talking about? When Buhari was doing his own, they say Buhari was giving power to all those northerners, but Buhari was giving it to both northwest, northeast, and north central. But this one is only giving it to what is it called? Southwest alone. All the police I just said down, they are from southwest alone. Southeast is there, south is there. So they are being marginalized because look at it now. Then now, as far as we are concerned now, North only spent 11 years since 1999 when the democracy came in.
Mm-hmm.
South has spent 13 years now. Plus this one making 17 years. So what are you not thinking about? Let us look at it very well. Let us give policies. They are saying the truth. They are being marginalized on a serious note. Thank you very much.
All right, Sam. Thank you.
All the way from
Lafiaji.
All the way from Lafiaji. That is a good one.
Well, our time is fast spent.
God. Maybe
Our time is fast spent. We need to go. But because, again, this should not divide us or should not sow, some kind of, negative seed in our heart. But rather, it is for public enlightenment and education for us to understand and say, okay, this are the issues and we're preferring solution. That's exactly what the intention of the whole conversation is all about. The issue of marginalization is good that people should have a good understanding of what marginalization is and who are being marginalized. And when we talk about when leaders come to citizens to say you are being marginalized, it's good for the citizens to be able to understand and say, oh, how are we being marginalized, rather than feed them with wrong information. And then we're talking of non-development across the country. Well, that's the end of the program this morning. Nicholas, thank you so very much for coming on the program as well too. The views expressed is not in any way the position of FlowFM 92.7 on here, the staff there, but solely as expressed by the in-house analyst Nicholas Uwerunonye and of course some callers this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Dayo Adeyemi.
And I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you for joining us this morning. We'll be back to your ears tomorrow, 8 to 8:30, God willing. Have a great day.
FlowFM 92.7. FlowFM.
Araba Radio.
We've never achieved anything from the subsidy removal. Instead, everything is going higher. Fuel up, food stuff is striking up.
Look at us now, there is nothing, we are starving.
As you can see, there is no light and it makes us to lose customer.
The government really needs to redefine its security architecture.
Every day, Nigerians get up to complain of one thing or the other about the affairs of the country. From poor electricity to insecurity, healthcare, education, and the economy. This is not to say some level of progress is not being recorded, but how much of the impact is felt by the people? Do you have an opinion or comments to share about the current situation in Nigeria? Your Go with the Flow station, Flow FM 92.7, has provided a platform for you to have your say every Friday from 10 to 10:30 a.m. Say it the way you feel it. Have your say.